Not using your voice is also allowing things to happen. And if we can get people to recognize that, if I can play some role in that, that will have been most meaningful to me. My name is Tricia Rojo Bushnell, and I'm the executive director at the Midwest Innocence Project. I was the first in my family to go to college. I chose a law school that had a really large background in immigration and human rights. Because for me, my family's from Mexico, and it was really important to me to think about what were the impacts that this had and what are ways that I could work in that field and assist. So I went to NYU in New York City, and I did what we call a clinic. In law school, clinics are essentially like residencies for doctors, right? So you're a law student, you're representing real individuals, but under the supervision of a lawyer. I did the immigrant rights clinic. I represented undocumented workers in disputes about wage and labor, and I loved it. I spent a whole year doing that. But at that time, I had a professor, his name's Brian Stevenson, and he's a very inspirational speaker, and he makes you really feel like you can accomplish something. And so my last year of law school, he announced that he was going to reopen his clinic that hadn't been at the law school for several years. So I ultimately decided to do that instead, and I spent the last semester of my law school working in Alabama representing a man who had been sentenced to death. He had been convicted of killing an elderly woman who was in her 70s, but by the end of that semester, we had actually proven that our client was innocent. These are incredibly complicated areas of law that we expect everyday folks or folks who are going through incredible crises to navigate on their own without any special training. And we all know that's not fair. So it's really interesting to think about what are the most complicated areas of law, which I think arguably many people would say are 3 areas that need the most reform. Law school is not teaching you to come in and change our system, right? Change the way of how we do it right now. And so you have to find people who are doing that kind of work. When I was in law school, what was known as rebellious lawyering, who are learning the rules to change the system itself. The Midwest Innocence Project represents people convicted of crimes they did not commit and works to change the system to prevent those convictions in the first place. Every single one of our clients, lightning has struck multiple times. They represent when the system goes wrong again and again and again. So every time we represent someone, we know we have to make a systemic change to prevent this, not only for this individual, but for everyone. And that's the way we approach our work. In Kansas, helped pass a law that changed how we do eyewitness identification, that requires that we record custodial interrogations, that looks at cases where there was DNA and no hit, that compensates the wrongfully convicted. In Nebraska, we changed access to DNA testing, how we use jailhouse informants. In Iowa, we changed access to DNA testing. In Arkansas, we changed a law that allows people to have access to the lab reports in their own case. So lots of things in lots of states. When I think about it, when I think about the work that we do or the work that I want to do, is how we're empowering people to make their own change in their own communities. One of the things that people don't expect when I walk in the room is that I'm also a directly impacted person. My family has been touched by the criminal legal system, but I don't get seen that way anymore because I get to be in the room. And if I don't use that to open that door, right? If I don't reach a hand back, then why do I deserve to be here?